Before I get started, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Mitchell family. We retired his jersey today, and in honor of that and being able to pull this victory out, wanted to make sure we sent a game ball to them to thank them for what he meant to this organization and that they were here to see us honor him.
Ron, I'm not even sure where to begin other than just to ask, how do you feel after that?
Very
wild
fortunate.
finish?
It's interesting. I was thinking about these guys as we were playing this game because I know last year we had some real close, tough ones with these guys, and there was something about the way these guys responded. Very resilient. They reminded me a lot of last year's team. Just the way they stuck at it and kept fighting, and good things will happen eventually, and that's what happened today. I mean, we made a lot of mistakes, we missed a lot of opportunities, but we were resilient.
Specific to Taylor, what was your message to him there on that last 2-minute drill?
Don't screw it up. No, it was all we had to do was get in the field goal position. We felt we had a good shot at it, and we got that opportunity.
And then defensively, was there anything? It's second game in a row. Felt like you didn't get the pressure you were looking for there.
Well, probably the biggest thing too is again, things go hand in hand, and sometimes when you're not getting the pressure, you've got to be able to rely on the coverage and vice versa. So it works hand in hand, and that's something we got to get corrected, especially on the third down situations. We had some opportunities, and we just missed some opportunities to make some plays.
Ron, as you know, it's never easy to win in the National Football League. Is there a sense of relief right now?
Very much so. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I mean, very fortunate to pull this one out. It's a good football team over there. They got some good athletes, some good football players. They made some plays. They put themselves in position to win as well. And the unfortunate part of this game is somebody's got to lose.
Taylor Heinicke, obviously, it was kind of a roller coaster there,
Yep.
but he came through when he needed to in that final drive. What can you say about his overall performance and kind of the guttiness that he showed out there?
Well, that's exactly how he played. It was very gutty. Scott, the thing that was real impressive about him was the way he bounced back after the turnover. Prior to that, he went down in 3 plays and scored a touchdown, and then we turned around and we were trying to kill the clock, and he made a bad read, made a bad decision. He should have put the ball in the back's hands, going to the flat instead of trying to throw the curl, and James Bradbury made a heck of a play, and but getting that opportunity, he stepped up again.
Finally, for me, as you know, this defense was talked about, highly touted, coming out of the training camp. Disappointment, frustration there that maybe they're not playing at their ability, and are they correctable? I mean, I know you haven't seen the film.
Once we get an opportunity to take a good look at the tape, take a real good dive into it, we're going to correct some things, because these young men there's too many good football players for us not to play better than what we did today. I mean, and that's a big disappointment, is that they are good football players, but we got to correct some things, and we got to get a real good look at that.
Ron, you mentioned resiliency. Did you learn something about this team tonight that you maybe didn't know?
Well, it's funny, as I said earlier, is they remind me a little bit of last year's group of guys. Still learning, still growing. A lot of young faces on the field, guys making plays and sticking to it. But again, we should play better. We really should.
There's been an uptick in penalties for your group. I wonder, what do you think is causing that, and how can you correct that?
Well, we got to be a little more disciplined. That's the biggest thing, more so than anything else. I think it's unfortunate, but we, as a group, have to understand and realize that there's certain things that we got to be smarter about, and penalties is one thing. We can control that for sure.
When Dustin misses one and then makes the second one, I guess, what do you feel coming out of that? What do you take away from that situation?
That just got to give a guy another opportunity, and that's how fortunate we were. They had a guy jump off sides, and it was one of those things that created that opportunity.
Ron, I apologize if some of this has been asked, but when Taylor comes to the sideline after the interception, do you look for his reaction, and what did you see? And I apologize.
He was pissed. He was upset at himself. He really was. He slammed his helmet into the ground, and it was one of those things that you just felt if we can just get the ball back in his hands, and that's and listening to Jack talk to the defense, he told him, hey, we got to stop here and get the ball back in his hands, and we'll have a chance. And I really appreciated the way he put that to his defensive guys, because they went out and they did bow up, and we did get the stop.
Before he goes back out for that last possession, what did you see from him at that time on the sideline?
He had a good look in his eye. He really did. And I will say this too. I thought Scotty, made some really good calls. And it's one of those things that when you hear the play caller call a play with confidence, I think that really, sets the tone for Taylor, because I really like the flow of way Scotty called those last few series.
J.D. McKissick wasn't very much involved last week, but tonight he played a huge role. Why did his role change so much? What about the matchup did you like?
Because last week we ran the ball a little bit more, and I think one of the things that we felt is that we can get the ball in his hands. We could get some good matchups that we felt would be really positive for him, and that was kind of going into it. I thought that was one of the really good parts of the game plan was to get him a little bit more involved and see if we can create the positive matchups.
And I think you might have told the sideline reporter that the Heinicke
Yes.
audible to that run. Can you just walk
Yes,
us
he
through
did.
that?
He got up there and he liked the front that they had given us, so he went ahead and checked it.
Hey, Ron, I'm wondering how a win like this kind of lends itself to this idea of maturity that you're talking about. Can the
Well,
group be more-
I think what it does, it just shows them that if you keep working at it, you keep pounding at things and keep going after things, you're gonna get an opportunity, and if you can correct some of those mistakes along the way, and I think that's something that we'll learn. I'm really anxious to watch this tape because there were some really good things, and again, got to give them credit. They made some things happen. Again, the one thing we seem to come up against Daniel Jones every time is he freaking runs the ball, and that kind of sets us back a little bit. So we've got to be better at that.
Did you feel like you got a better handle of that as the game
Yes,
went along?
as we came in at halftime and listened to the defensive coaches talk about how to handle it, I really liked the way they adjusted to it. I like what they were saying, and to the defensive players, and it felt like they went back out there with some confidence.
What did they say?
No, we'll talk about that later.
Context of Dustin in the context of Dustin Hopkins, we've talked about some of the misses in the preseason. Obviously, I think he has one missed field goal so far. Cameron Chismany is a rookie. This is his first time having a snap on a game-winning situation. In that context, when you think about this whole operation, how big of a deal was that second field goal kick for that?
Oh, it's huge for the confidence of really Dustin more so than anything else. Just knowing that, sometimes you get the second opportunity, you can't miss that one, and it was good to see. And sometimes something like this, who knows, might catapult him forward and get into a nice rhythm. As far as Cheese is concerned, I agree. Knowing that he can make a positive snap in this clutch situation, that'll carry over for him.
When you talked about resilience a great deal. The Giants had 4 consecutive drives where they scored, field goal, touchdown, what have you, but the defense obviously came up with the stops towards the end. When you talk about it in that particular sense, what were you guys doing in order to get some of those stops later in the game to help give your offense a chance there?
Well, probably the best thing, and again, I like the way Jack started to mix it up even more and challenge these guys. We started getting them pressing a little bit more. We ran a few more pressures, and those were the things I think that really started to kind of separate us and gave us a better opportunity.
Ron, you talked about the maturity going into the season after week 1, and to Matt's point a little bit, is there a difference between maybe not being mature and being inexperienced, specifically in Taylor's case because he just hasn't played a whole lot of football?
And I agree. With Taylor, it's just the inexperience. And the more he plays, I think the more sound he'll get. But yeah, to your point, I do agree. There is some of it. There is some inexperience for a lot of our guys, and some immaturity. When I talk about immaturity, it's really about the discipline portion of it. Like I said last week, one thing is we are a gap sound defense. Everybody has a responsibility. They have to be there. A lot of the things that are required on the offensive side is running precise routes. Hitting your target as a runner going downhill. So those are maturity things. But to your point, the things with Taylor, that's about experience more so than anything else. Inexperience.
And if it's possible to put the last 5 minutes aside and talk about the first 55 with Taylor, what did you see with him in terms of the high point he throws to Ricky for the touchdown and some of the other throws he made?
He's that's one thing he has is he does have the ability to throw the ball and make all the throws, and we've seen that. And he's got a lot of confidence, and when he gets into a really nice rhythm, he can deliver a good ball. The throw to Ricky, he really went through his progression. If you get the opportunity to watch that again, just see how many. I think Ricky at that point was his third option. And so you saw it, and again, that speaks well to our protection. I thought the offensive line blocked pretty doggone well today. So a lot of good things came out of that.
Take 2 more. I'll talk about the crowd then. This was pretty much your first game where you really heard the fans here at
Yes.
FedEx. What did tonight's game feel like to you?
Darren, it was cool. It really was, and that's what I've always talked about. If we can get the fan base engaged and get them back, we've got to win football games first and foremost, and today's a good start for us. But if we can get the fans back and get them on our side, it'll mean a lot to these guys. I thought they brought energy when we needed it, especially on the defensive side, the way they got going those last few drives when we forced the field goals. I think that really kind of played to create a little momentum for our guys. So it was pretty cool. It really was.
Ron, when Ryan goes down, you obviously could have gone out and got a veteran quarterback. You didn't do that. What was it about Taylor that gave you confidence, and then what did you see tonight that validated that decision?
Well, he's got a little swagger to him, and his teammates feed off of him. They really do. And when you watch the way, those guys do feed off of him, it's pretty impressive. And so just feeling that if he can make some things happen and the guys rally behind him, we can get some momentum and roll, and we'll see what happens.
Last one, Paris.
Right here, he is actually waiting. Yeah. No, just all right. I'm just trying to be fair.
Ron, you started this press conference not even talking about the game, but honoring Bobby Mitchell. You playing in the league, how important is it in your eyes to just remember people in the league and just not forgetting that? You came in with the game ball. I thought that was so profound. Could you just talk about how you want to?
Well, I just think it's very important that we recognize trailblazers and the people that have really helped to create what this league is today. When you bring a guy and he's the first, he should be recognized. He most certainly, especially for as much as he meant to this organization, and in talking with Mr. Snyder about it, he really felt that would be the right thing to do. So I appreciate, that, he wanted me to do it. We did it because it deserves to be done. People like Bobby deserve to be remembered because of their contribution to sports, to our country, to our society, what it means.